an inclusive event, by Krishna's mercy. Kathyatam me pit, koyam sambhramo va upagat, kim phalam kasya voddesh, ken va sadhyate mak. Quote, My dear father, I am very respectfully and humbly inquiring, what is this arrangement? Why you are busy in making some sacrificial ceremony? What is the reason and what is the result? For whose benefit is it and by what means will it be accomplished? Shrimad Bhagavatam 10:24-3. As there is a small amount of free will in the human existence, extending to the animal community as well, there is the potential to fall onto different sides. For instance, if I order out for pizza tonight, someone at home might decide to have a few slices. Another person wants to devour the entire thing, while another is fine staying completely away. There are different outcomes based on the choice exercised. Extending the practice out to create something like a way of life, there is always the potential for degradation. The first Govardhan Puja shows that when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is satisfied, the benefits flow to the entire community which is involved, no matter their relative standing. That standing could be low based on behavior. We see this in metropolitan areas, where certain places are known for increased violence, property crime, and drug abuse. The wise tend to stay away from such areas. The people living there are considered degraded. They are lower class, and not just based on income. They are unfortunately following a lower standard of living. At the same time, based on the principles of the science of self-realization, the lowest of the low still have a link to divinity. They are still spirit soul inside, which is like an ever-sparkling jewel. There might not be sufficient light to notice the jewel. There may be varying degrees of covering that then prevents the jewel from sparkling in all its glories. Yet that jewel remains as it is, untouched though in contact with different elements. Anaditvan nirgunatvat paramatmayam avyaya, sharirasthopi kaunteya na karoti na lipyate. Quote, Those with the vision of eternity can see that the soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. Lord Krishna, Bhagavad-gita 13:32. This principle is difficult to recall amidst the turmoil, when in the throes of the decay. The lower conditions are due to association with material nature, which as a collective energy is known as Prakriti. Within that Prakriti, there are different modes, such as goodness, passion, and ignorance. These can also combine to create mixtures, and so the pure spirit soul, the living being, meets with good, evil, high, low, and the like amongst various species and circumstances. Purusha prakristho hi bhunkte prakritijan gunan karanam gunsango sya sad asad yoni janmasu. Quote, The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil amongst various species. Lord Krishna, Bhagavad-gita 13:22. Saints of the Vedic tradition recommend worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly, not necessarily to extract a benefit, not to alleviate some temporary discomfort, not even to rise in stature, to transition from degraded to respected. Rather, we should worship God the person because that is in our very nature. Connecting with him is like returning to the real Dharma, which is eternal. We see evidence of the benefit in the first Govardhan Puja, the original one having kindly descended to the manifest realm to show his manifest pastimes, Prakata Leela, Sri Krishna persuaded the leader of a farm community to start a new worship. This was different from the Indra Yagya that the community was otherwise preparing for. The object of this new worship would be the nearby Govardhan hill. Though inanimate in nature, it actually served a vital function in supporting the cows. There is never harm in appreciating benefactors, whether they can speak or not. Krishna made a convincing case. The people decided to follow his lead. Quote, "The Brahmanas should be given all kinds of grains in charity, then decorate all the cows and feed them well. After performing this, give money in charity to the Brahmanas. As far as the lower animals are concerned, such as the dogs, and the lower grades of people, such as the Chandalas, or the fifth class of men who are considered untouchable, they also may be given sumptuous prasadam. After giving nice grasses to the cows, the sacrifice known as Govardhan Puja may immediately begin. This sacrifice will very much satisfy me. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vol. 1, H. 24. Though the higher grades of men would lead the worship, the lower grades were not left out. They were to be given remnants of the worship. This is known as prasadam. It is literally the mercy bestowed upon the worshippers. It did not matter a person's stature. Since they were connected to the honoring of Govardhana in some way, they were worthy of receiving mercy from Krishna himself. What to speak of people in degraded positions, even the animals were included. It was so directed that a portion of the prasadam be assigned for their consumption. This one incident, though brief in the sense of elapsed time, gives deep insight into the ever-loving nature of the Almighty. Though he is known to be the witnessing bird, who sits on the tree next to us, neutrally disposed, he is always wishing us well. If we simply turn in his direction, if we experience some of his grace, whether directly in remembering or through the distribution of mercy from his devotees, then any supposedly lower condition can quickly be transformed. In closing, if in low occupation living and attention not much giving, others on daily basis around, still mercy on that day found. Because of the worship arranged, plans from Indra Yagya changed, such that for Govardhan to go, remnants towards all classes to flow,